Okay, well, I guess we can start, right? We were having a little bit of a conversation and a little bit of business, and so anyway, welcome you out there in the internet land. This is Doug Wilkerson with Saturday Night Live Life Recovery. Life recovery means that we're trying to recover from life. All things life, dysfunctional life, let's put it that way. How about that? And that because life is rather dysfunctional, and we can either be a part of the dysfunction, and we kind of will be to some degree no matter what, but we can either add to the dysfunction or begin to try to alter or regulate some of that dysfunction, bring a little bit of good stuff into our life, and as we get better, it affects everybody else. Would you agree with that? And that's what we're trying to do, because we can get so disoriented. The common vernacular would be screwed up, okay? That we don't know how to get things squared away, and that's what we're here to do. And sometimes it's step by step, piece by piece, here a little, there a little, and to help re-engage ourselves into life in a healthy manner. So tonight we are going out of the Life Recovery Bible and the Life Recovery Workbook, and the topic that was selected for today was unending love. And this is out of Hosea, which is the Bible story that correlates with step 5, because we're in step 5 because this is the 5th month. And so step 5 is we admit to God, to ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrong. And, as we start in recovery, and recovery doesn't mean just sobriety. Recovery means a change in our life and in our behavior. Inside, we change inside, which affects our behavior outside, and that's not faking it till you make it. It's practicing what you want to be, and because you don't want to be what you've been, but you want to be what you know that you can be, and that God has helping you to be. And so you're practicing what the truths and the word, the information, the steps to help frame our life. And so tonight, the exact nature, and I started down that road, the exact nature is that we may not be able to get the fullness of our exact nature of our wrongs, but we can start. Because to some degree, and maybe even a large degree, what some of your wrongs are. And you know that those wrongs are not helping you to go right in life. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Hi, Robert.
Howdy.
Glad you made it. And so,
Never.
well, that's all right. We started a little late. We just got started, so.
Okay.
And so tonight we're going to be talking about unending love. And what does unending love mean? I did put a paper back there with all this information on it, a whole sheet of information. I even shrunk it down so it'd be on one sheet. And so if somebody wants to give me a definition or read it off the paper, you're welcome to do that. It looks like Tommy says, yes, I will. So, real loud, Tommy.
Unending love means a love that never stops, fails, or runs out.
I really like that statement.
I do.
Don't you? Read that again, would you please?
A love that never stops, fails, or runs out.
Mm.
It is consistent, or it's constant, unconditional, and eternal.
Mm.
This kind of love isn't based on performance, moods, or circumstances. It continues no matter what.
So what do you think all that means? What's your meaning that you get out of that, Tommy?
That this type of love isn't like you upset me so I don't like you no more type of love, It's not a human type love, it's more of a God love. like God's type of love is unending.
Because it's eternal, right? Unending.
It's forever.
And it's not based on performance. It's not based on moods.
Or circumstances.
Anybody here ever been in a mood?
Yeah.
And it's not based on circumstances, okay? And that means if you mess up, that you're out, right? There's that unending love which God has for us. It still is in force. It's still there. It's not changing, and it's continues. The last words is it continues, no matter what. Right? Now that's really hard for us to wrap our brain around sometimes because we're used to conditional love, right? Conditional love. In other words, I love you if you do what I say. I love you if you don't make me mad, which you can't really make me mad, really, but I can say that all the time, right? So, a lot of people say that. So, that's what we're talking about tonight. So, we're going to try to wrap our brains around this term, unending love, to help us to maybe stretch ourselves in our understanding about God and about that love potential with others, and also enable us to maybe love ourselves more deeply, right? Based on who we are, but not what we do, right? Who we are, because we're a spiritual being created by God, right? And that we also then are able to let other people love us. Anybody else have any statements on what the definition that Tommy read? Okay. Some statements here that I have on the paper that I thought was pretty good, and I'm not going to read it all because we started 5 minutes late, and that's my fault. So one statement I really liked here was on down underneath there, talked about spiritually, God loves all humanity, and we'll be reading Romans 8:38-39 in the lesson. It's the very last thing in the lesson, so I would like for you to read that also. And so we'll read that. The next line there is a love that pursues and forgives. And that's the kind of God love that He has, that He pursues us. We see God that He only pursues us when He's mad at us, but that's not really His character. Okay, He pursues us because He loves us all the time. And tonight we're going to be talking about the story of Hosea, God telling him to go marry a prostitute. Okay, and we'll talk about that, or you guys will talk about that. I'll just listen because you guys got it covered. And so or Willie will. I guess Willie will, right? Willie, knows all about that, right, Willie? I'll do my best. And you can read it. I mean, if you think it's about you, then it has to do with your thoughts, not my thoughts. So, but it gives a reference, and it'd be interesting if you want to go there to Psalms 136, where he has about 10 different passages, maybe 12, and he makes a statement, and then he has that quote in there, His love endures forever. He says it over and over and over. Anyway, you might want to look that up. So, anyway, let's go on down to connect between the connection between step 5 and unending love. So, what's the connection? Of course, I've got some of the connection down there on paper, and you're welcome to read some of that jumps out at you, or your thoughts. I don't care. Did you raise your hand, Will?
No, it's stretching. I got lice.
Okay, that's nice to know.
From the way it says, like,
Some of the connection between step 5 and our topic tonight connects it together. And step 5 is where we risk being fully known, because step 5 again is I admit to God, ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrong. So we're risking taking a risk, because that we've hidden most of our life, now we're starting to talk about it a little bit at a time. And step 5 is starting to open up, right? And so step 5 talks about that, and that's what unending love. And to be able to do that, you have to be able to face shame in the presence of love, knowing that you're not loved, you're not condemned. You are loved, you're not condemned, you're accepted, and that you're able to go through that process. And you should love yourself. You should find another human being that you have built a trusting relationship with, that you can disclose some of this information, and then, of course, to God. All right? Love that listens without condemnation, without condemning people. So that's part of step 5, which I've pretty much already said. And then it makes a reference of James 5:16 here. Confess your sins one to another, praying one for another, that you may be healed. And that's what we're looking for, right? Healing. What kind of healing? Well, we think of healing, we think of physical. We need physical healing. But we're talking about mental, emotional. We're talking about soul healing. We're talking about that healing inside, that is what we call recovery, right? That we change that's inside, heal that, and as we do that on the inside, then it's beginning to be expressed on the outside in our behavior, in our walk. Does that make sense? That's what recovery is. Now, sobriety is part of that. But sobriety is not recovery. Sobriety is sobriety, but sobriety is a part of recovery. And and if you try to do sobriety without recovery, all you're doing is, which is not all bad, but it's a very willful act, because you're not changing that's on the inside. As they say, you're just white knuckling it, or you become, in far as in alcohol, you become an angry drunk. Because you're frustrated and you're not healed on the inside. Is that too much? Right, that's what we're looking for, right? Right, David? That's what we're looking for. And so we're looking that love. This love that we're talking about transforms us, and we need to be transformed. Okay, we do our best to, according to Romans 12:2, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And we start to change our thinking, because we have to change our thinking, because our thinking has to do with how we believe, and how we believe affects how we behave. Is that correct?
yes.
And so we have to work on that. And that doesn't mean that it actually heals us, but it begins to set us up in a position that we can be healed, because now we're destroying or eliminating those lies and false beliefs that have kept us bound, that's kept us locked up, that's kept us in fear. You understand what I'm saying? I know I've gone to preaching and I'm already way over. So, but anyway, so that's where we're at. And there was a couple more things on here, but I'm going to go ahead and do this last one here. In this love that transforms, that unending love isn't passive. It's transformational. And sometimes we feel like we're passive because we're not forcing things to happen. But that doesn't, choosing to act upon what is right and allowing it to come to place in our life is not passive, because it's acceptance. It's allowing it to happen instead of trying to force it to happen. Normally when you force anything, whether it's on somebody else or even on yourself, there is an automatic, you correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's an automatic resistance that happens. That's the reason why God operates on love. And the enemy, the evil one, the devil, operates with fear, which is a force to try to make us do things. And if he can get us wrapped up in that fear, doesn't he have us already?
Yeah.
All right, there you go. I went off into that deep one, didn't I? So,
I love rabbit holes.
well, there's a lot here tonight, and I'm hoping that we get it. I hope it comes out. I hope it helps you. That's what I want. That's what I've prepared for. That's what I've studied. That's what I've thought about. I ran down many rabbit holes on different things here tonight, which I probably won't share unless somehow it comes up. But I appreciate it. So anyway, are we ready for the 12 steps?
Yes.
So you doing the 12 steps?
Yeah.
So Tommy's going to read 12 steps. Thanks, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Tommy.
Alright. 12 steps. 1. We admitted that we were powerless over our problems and that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. We came to believe that power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. We made a decision to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God. 4. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. 7. We humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. 8. We made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9. We made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. We continued to take a personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And step 5, which we're on tonight, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Thank you,
Tommy.
Thanks, Tommy.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
I'm glad you're doing good. The rest of them still undecided? It's all right.
Been awesome.
Oh, okay. Didn't hear you, John. I'm sorry. All right. Unending love. Out of Hosea 11, 8 through 11. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and another human being the exact natures of our wrong. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have questions all through this.
Oh, I have too many questions, maybe.
Oh, no. We'll see how many we can answer.
Okay, so, go ahead.
All right. We may be sorely aware,
What sorely mean, you know?
painfully,
That's correct. Very good.
we may be sorely aware of our deep shame, trouble, and pain we inflicted on our family when we were controlled by our addictions.
Okay, so do you agree or disagree with that? Those
I
statements?
agree.
Why?
For the fact that even though we know we did wrong, and that's why we hid it. So we hid it so that people wouldn't, most people wouldn't look down on us or reprimand us for what we did.
Or judges? Or judges?
Judges.
Which we're also, we really want love and acceptance, right? But we really don't want rejection.
Especially
Or
from
judgment.
our family.
So then we hide our stuff, right?
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
We may be afraid to admit the exact natures of our wrong because we don't understand how God could love someone who is so bad.
So, what do you think about that statement?
Well, I think that's where we're putting our own judgment instead of relying on what is to be. We're putting our will ahead of His.
Okay. Why don't we read that sentence again?
We may be afraid to admit the exact natures of our wrongs.
Hold it right there. Do you all agree with that statement?
Yeah, because it plays like a tape in my mind.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Robert?
I went through several periods of partially admitting.
Well, that's the beginning, right?
Yeah. I didn't want to admit how bad it was,
Mhm.
you know. I figured if I told them a little bit, then they might satisfy them that I'm trying to get over it, you know. So it was a big deal to admit the exact nature of my wrongs.
Good point. Good. And you had, I'm trying to formulate the question here. You know the question I'm getting ready to ask?
No.
No. So I wanted to ask about the difficulty of doing that. Being able to really discuss the exact nature.
Because when I had difficulty admitting it to others, at the same time I had difficulty admitting it to myself.
There you go.
So I couldn't do it until I admitted it to myself.
And what prevents us or you from doing so?
Because we don't like to see the bad in ourselves. It's easier to see the bad in other people than it is ourselves.
Oh, and it's pretty easy to see the bad in others, right?
Yeah. But,
Especially when it's the bad in us.
Yeah.
right.
And usually that's the reason why we can see so much bad is because we're familiar with it, because it's in us.
Right.
That's one theory, right?
Yeah. So, but let me tell you, once I did admit it to myself
Good.
in detail, then it's like the floodgates opened. It's like I couldn't wait to pray to God and just pour my heart out. And I couldn't wait to tell a close friend and get it off my back because I knew that it was a burden. It was tearing me apart. you
Yeah.
know? So it's worth it.
That's great.
And it's freeing.
Yes.
And I think it's the most important step that we have.
So, can I ask you another question?
Absolutely, I may not answer,
But
but
that's fine. That's fine. But I like to ask for permission,
okay.
And that is, and this may be a thought question, but what enabled you to be able to reveal the exact nature of your wrong? What enabled you is the question.
because I was tired. I was just done. I didn't know if I could go on. I felt like if I didn't get rid of this guilt and express it to someone and myself and admit it, I was gonna die. You know, there was no hope. I had to have some hope because I had lost all hope.
And how did you know that that was the thing to do? How did you know that was the place to get hope?
Because I've been a student of the Bible most of my life,
Okay.
and I knew that God had been trying, He'd been calling me
Okay. All right.
and pricking little things I would see and hear always reminded me that I needed to get my life straightened out. And so it's just finally to the breaking point, I had to do it, you know, otherwise I was gonna die.
So you were aware of what we're talking about today, this unending love. And so you wasn't maybe totally sure, but you had a pretty good idea that you would be loved and accepted by at least God.
Yeah.
And that would relieve some of that weight that was on you.
Right.
Great, thank you for that. And Willie, aren't you glad I was asking Robert all those questions?
I appreciate it. Really, I do.
Well, you know, Robert kind of opened that door up there, and I did ask for permission, right?
Of course.
So, all right.
I don't have
You-
any more to hide. man.
Okay, all right. That makes it so easy, right?
Yeah.
So, who does anybody else have anything you want to say before we move on? Lori, did you have something? I thought you moved there.
I was just getting a drink.
All right, so we got half of that sentence.
Yeah. Because we don't understand how God could love someone who is so bad.
So what's your thoughts on that?
For the most part of that, it's that we don't love ourselves, so why should anybody else?
Mm.
That's what I get out of that part.
Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody disagree with that?
Not why it should, but how can anybody else love us if we don't love ourselves?
Yeah, that's good, John. That's good. Anything else you want to add, Willie?
Not to that, no.
Okay.
I'll muddy it up and then we'll be here all night
Okay, all right.
with this. Hosea the prophet, sorry, I messed that up. Hosea was a prophet of the rebellious nation of Israel.
But wait. I know, but let me just ask the question. I got the question down here.
Okay.
The question is, what does this mean?
It means he was sent there to help out Israel
Okay.
because they were in rebellion.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Robert?
A prophet is someone who speaks a message. Usually it's something about the future or about the past and what it means for us. And the prophets that are mentioned in the Bible always had an important message from God.
That's such a great point. That's good. Anything else? Does anybody else have, what does that mean here? What is Doug looking for, right? Is that your side? You're asking the question when I ask the question? Well, Hosea was a prophet, and that's good what Robert said there. And to the rebellious nation of Israel. Okay, to the rebellious nation of Israel. Anybody want to comment on that?
Wasn't Israel God's chosen people?
Oh yeah. What is it? What is this trying to tell us? What is that trying to tell us? Okay, about us. Robert, you want to say something?
Well, a nation is made up of people,
Right.
And so there were undoubtedly some rebellious people within that nation to make the whole nation be viewed as rebellious. So as a person, when we're doing wrong things, when we're doing things that we know are bad for us, for others, it's a form of rebellion. Sin is, in essence, rebellion against God.
Okay? So, why is this statement and this story pertinent to our lives? And we're only on the rebellious part right now.
Because we are a rebellious nation.
There you go. Well, let's don't sink the whole nation, you know. We'll leave that up to somebody else. But we're just talking about us.
We're rebellious people.
Yeah. And see, Israel had an upper kingdom and a lower kingdom. The upper kingdom was doing okay. Hosea was in the lower kingdom. Okay? And so he was there to try to communicate or be the prophet to these rebellious people in the lower kingdom, in Israel. Okay? Are we okay? So, those people are kind of like usins, right? You know what usins is? Unity, right?
Imperfect.
Yuns. Okay? Alright, go ahead, Willie.
God used Hosea's life to demonstrate his unconditional love for us and his people. The Lord told Hosea to marry a prostitute.
Okay, let's talk about that. This is where your knowledge gets to come. Here. Are you ready?
Pass. Okay, let's see where we go.
What are your thoughts about that statement?
Well, God always used people to get his point across.
That's a really good statement.
So I'm learning that much.
Okay, good.
But
And because it demonstrates a picture.
yes,
It's an illustration, right?
right. And I'm trying to use the correct words because you know me in words we don't get along.
It's all right. We'll work it out.
God used Hosea because he was more of a people person type deal, where he was the Israel's seen him as one of their people
Right.
type deal.
But he was demonstrating something, right?
His love,
His unconditional love.
yes,
Okay, so he was demonstrating whose unconditional love? God's. And so that means Hosea had to demonstrate unconditional love. He had to act in that love of loving unconditionally,
yes,
right? And so God gave him a mission, right? Is that true? And what was that mission?
to marry a prostitute.
He told him to marry a prostitute. So what do you think about that?
I'll have to ask them what they think about that.
Go ahead.
I was waiting for this. When Jesus walked the earth, he got fishers of men. He got the lowest of the low. So the best representation to show the unending love is to find the one that most people look down upon, and you forgive that sin. Because you know the rebellious nature is one way of just saying that they bucked against the system. They didn't, and it's easy for me as a human being to be rebellious in a room full of rebellious people. It's harder for me to sit back and say that I follow Jesus Christ if I'm in a room full of Satanists. I don't care who you are. If you say otherwise, you're not really telling the truth, in my opinion. I can't relate. How's that? I don't want to ever call nobody a liar. But so if you're in a community full of rebellious people, and they all look at this one I can't say they don't see nothing wrong with it, but they know the sin in which it is there. And when you see somebody that they're, I can't say looking up to,
Can I help you with this? They'll judge it, but they'll also participate in it.
right, they're all,
Would you agree with that statement?
yes.
Okay.
And they don't, how could I say, let's kind of hitting it home, a little rough around the edges, you know, ain't quite what you expect out of somebody that is going to be Christ-like. Because we don't view Christ with the rough edges that we have as human beings in ourselves.
And that's the point of this
Right.
illustration. In fact, this whole book here, this demonstration of God's unconditional love. So, congratulations. Continue.
So I like to view myself as a human being, so I have excuses to do things that goes against God's will. But if I can see that God will, I can't say belittle himself, lower himself, but when I can see God like me being able to do the same things that I do, and he chooses otherwise, and he can help me, that's the representation I see out of this.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments on this statement of God told him to marry a prostitute? Anybody else want to enter in? Lori, you have any comments?
Yeah. The people of the nation, they knew that he was a prophet, sent by God.
Yes.
So he was looked on almost kind of like a pastor authority,
Absolutely.
a religious leader.
He was a holy man.
Yes. And he was told to marry a prostitute. And he did. We'll get there. And people looked at him. I've done an in-depth study of Hosea before, and people looked at him like he was Looney Tunes.
Right.
To be a holy man and marry a prostitute. People looked at him like he
Now, when we say married prostitute, she was an active prostitute, okay?
active prostitute. Yes.
And so, it wasn't, she was an active prostitute. I guess that's the only way you can say it, right?
But he did it anyway.
But he did it. And to fast forward just a little bit, she responded to
Yes.
him. And I wonder why she responded to him. Could it be that he loved her unconditionally? No? That's not it? What is it?
I don't know exactly.
And she had multiple children. They had multiple children. Okay? So, anybody else got any comments about this statement, John?
God often uses the worst of the worst.
Wait a second, I couldn't hear you.
God often uses the worst of the worst to confound the best of the best.
That is so true. So true.
So you use a,
And that's what this story is about. That's the reason why I started off pushing real hard on understanding who this nation was. Okay?
Yeah.
They are us. Right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
He uses the dumb to confound the wise. And he uses the opposite to bring the others down to a lower level, to where that we can all get along together.
Yeah, when we judge somebody, we're judging ourselves, right?
Yeah. When we point the finger, we've got three others pointing back at us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Are we doing okay so far? Am I digging too deep, or should we just go ahead and skim over the rest of this?
No.
I do what you can do anyway.
Do what?
I said you'll do what you want to do anyway.
I'm asking what you want. I've gone through it multiple times. I just checking. David, you got any comments on that?
I got nothing.
How come they get to say nothing and I still have
Oh, you say that too. Go
to
ahead.
do it all the time? Yeah, I know. Hosea married her, loved her, and devoted himself to her.
What does that mean?
Everything that he was given to her. It was all her.
Okay. Devoted.
Loyalty.
Loyalty. All in. How many things do we do that we're just partially in? We'll test it and see.
I got no answer for that. Believe me.
I just thought it just was a question. You know, one of those questions that nobody wants to answer. Okay, go ahead.
But later, his wife relapsed into her old ways, broke Hosea's heart, and brought shame to their family.
So, Willie, you're the one that said you knew all about this.
No, she
What-
is.
What does this mean? And yes, you can call a friend.
To me, you know, she went back to her old ways, and because he loved her so much, it broke his heart, devastated him. He took off. It don't say that, but I mean, you know, he left and everything, and
Well, she left.
she left. Well, yeah, but he just fell into depression, I guess.
Well,
I would say.
but I'd say there's good possibility. I don't know. I haven't read anything actually stating that, but you could assume so, right?
See, I'm gonna stop before I muddy it up.
That's okay, and no, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. That's a good speculation, I think. You know, and so and he had he had at least 3 children, and she's gone, and she went back to her old ways. The word they used, relapse. Anybody understand what that means? Relapse.
You go back to your old ways.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well.
Most relapses though ain't something that, you know, you plan to do. It's just like, or you don't recognize that you're planning to do it. It's a subconscious thing. It's like when things get rough or you feel uncomfortable, you go to what makes you feel, what you've always turned to before. Now, a lot of people assume that's just pain, but really, when I start doing really well, the first thing I always want to do is try to put a wrecking ball, because I'm comfortable in where I'm at. I don't want to be higher, I don't want to be lower, I just want to be where I'm comfortable, because I know how to react to the situation around me. But as we all know, I'm kind of trying to bust out that a little bit. But that's what I'm hearing when he says relapse. It's not that she wanted to leave her family or not. I'm going to guess on the other side that she had a lot of feelings also for Jose and them kids, because I really don't see a woman not having some kind of relationship toward a child that she buried for 9-10 months, you know, and then just get up and leave. There has to be a reason behind it. She may not even understand it.
Well, she probably didn't. And I think you're really onto something. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And because you touched on with your own life story here to that tonight, and that is her life was going really well. She had a family, which she never had before. She had some reasonable form of respect, right? She had love, okay, and she had a life. She had a potential future, right? And there's 2 major times of relapse, right? When you reach the high or you reach the low, right? 2 extreme times of relapse. And so some research that I'd done was that they said, now this writer had a little different take on it, okay? But he said, I concur with your appraisal, but this writer said that she, it said we are not reading those scriptures tonight, but it said that she liked the linen and the other apparels that she had, and the wine and the foods that her lovers provided for her. Okay, she gave her olive oil and wine, and she liked those benefits of that. That's what they said, which may be true. But I think there's a good possibility she was running because she felt like maybe she was a fraud or a poser. I think that gets more people sometimes. What do you think? You know what I mean by poser? One that pretends. You know,
I look back at, I can relate with her with being married, but I can say that when it comes to my addictions in life, whether it's drugs or eating or whatever, that may look and sound real good. It may be a good excuse to tell others, but really it's never been the reason why I would leave or go get a second or third place, not because it looked real good. It's because I'm selfish and self-centered deep down, and it's not worth fighting for all of a sudden that, you know, I accept the failure more than I work for the prize. How's that?
Yeah.
Well,
well, you know how to live through the failure.
right. I'm comfortable.
You're more comfortable with that than the success, because that scares the hell out of you. The success.
Right.
That's what you want.
No, that's what I tell myself I want.
Well, that could be.
I want the instant gratification of having it without all the work to do it, or the focal point on it with the how can I say, the possibility of failure. If I don't have a possibility of failure, it's easy money, just do it. I don't mind doing it. But the problem with success is you cannot get success without having the same level of failure with the success that's achievable. So, I mean, when you get halfway to the prize and what you're after, and you stumble a little bit, you know, like Biden going up a set of stairs, you can just go ahead and roll down the stairs, or you can get back up and try it again. And a lot of people, that's where, I mean, if you're not thinking about what you're thinking about, if you're not focused on what your goal is, it's real easy to fall back to where you're comfortable.
Right.
So,
And basically give up.
right, you know, the first thing a boxer is taught when he goes into training is how to get back up, because you are gonna fall.
Right.
Don't ever think you're gonna stand there and be able to take it all or win ever. You've got to learn to get back up first thing, because, and a lot of people go through this fight and forget to learn how to get back up.
I agree. Laura, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I kind of have a different view on it.
Okay.
Go figure. I feel that the turmoil in her heart and in her head was just so loud and big. She had to leave. That she was probably so uncomfortable being loved unconditionally.
Right.
Because this was probably the first time in her life she'd ever been loved. She didn't know how to react, respond, or receive it. And she didn't know how to receive it or give it back, that it was just too overwhelming to her, and she just had to get away from it because she didn't know how to handle it.
And that's the same scenario we're talking about here,
Yeah.
pretending.
That
being a
she
poser.
just had to leave.
And a lot of our world today causes us to try to fall into that framework right now. You know, you hear it all the time, but you don't hear it from me. Fake it till you make it, because all that is lying to yourself.
I see a woman who'd never been loved,
Right?
who'd never been shown love. And now all of a sudden, this is a popular word now, love bombing. You know, sort of being love bombed, but not true love. But she didn't know how to receive it. And so she had to run away from it.
Well, and one of the reasons possibly she didn't know how to receive it is because she didn't feel that she was worthy to receive it.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of trauma comes into our lives that shape us in that way, and we need that healing.
And that's that's the thing. To become a prostitute, you don't grow up in a nice, loving house.
Generally speaking.
Right. chances are this woman grew up on the streets or in an orphanage. Chances are she was abandoned at a young age.
And abused.
Or was sold into prostitution at a young age.
So, and God told Hosea, go marry Gomer. I just thought I'd throw that back in there, refresh our minds. Go ahead, Willie.
She fell into slavery.
Wait a minute, what does that mean, she fell into slavery? There's a big backstory on there, and you know all this, so I thought I'd ask.
Yes, I went back and read, but seriously, I'm trying to remember on that.
Gloria, you have anything
Yeah.
on that?
She became a prostitute then.
Right.
She fell into slavery.
But she says that she fell into slavery. She was a prostitute, but you know, when Hosea went, he went to the slave market and purchased her there.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? How did she go from a prostitute to being sold in a slave market?
Well, when she ran away, she went back and she put herself back willingly. She put herself back into that position.
So basically she had some, what we call nowadays a pimp. And according to some of my research, that basically she had outlived her usefulness.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he put her in the slave market to be sold,
Mm-hmm.
to redeem what money he could.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what I got out of it.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Mhm.
Anybody else have anything they want to say about that? Because I found it interesting when they, you know, to think that, I mean, I knew, for some reason I knew that he bought her at the slave market, but then I thought, how did she go from here to here, you know? Anyway, I was
She left.
curious.
She ran away in the middle of the night.
Well, she did, but she, you know, and
We don't know the details.
we don't know the details.
But she ended up
And
back
she
there.
could have indentured herself,
She
you know,
could have her, someone could have picked her up and threw her on the
Or
back of
kid.
the wagon and
made her a slave.
made her a slave,
Which-
but
which-
she got there
So,
because she left.
because she was on her own, looking for a way out. And when we're desperate, we grab stuff that may not be too good for us, you know what I mean? Christy, you've been real quiet. Do you want to say anything? No comments? No thoughts? Nothing, just ready to come out, burst out? Okay, well, we'll give you another chance a little bit, okay? Christy? All right, go ahead.
God then baffled Hosea by telling him in Hosea 3:1, go and love your wife again. Even though she commits adultery with another lover, this will illustrate that the Lord still loves Israel, even though the people have turned to other gods.
Yes.
Keep going.
So what does that mean
Okay.
to you?
Well, it's,
Let me refine that. I've got it down here. Well, let's just go ahead and ask that. What does it mean, this will illustrate? What does that mean?
it's going to show that, okay. It's going to show the people of Israel that even it's going to show the people of Israel that because Hosea loved her so much, he went back for her again. It's showing the same kind of love that God shows for his people.
I think that pretty much is the story, right?
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
It's Lisa, right? So Lisa?
Yeah.
You're Lisa, okay. Did you have anything you want to say? Okay, all right, just checking.
Okay.
Just nodding your head a lot, so. All right, so it's an illustration, yeah. Boy, what an illustration, right?
Powerful one, if you look into it.
Mm-hmm. Anybody have any thoughts?
Well, the people watching Hosea were probably pretty baffled by him.
What in the world are you doing? You can't buy her back, and he bought it with silver and barley and all kinds of stuff. I don't remember. I read it all, but and I didn't get a total of what he paid, but he paid. Okay.
It was a good price.
Yeah. So.
And people laughed at him and mocked him and made fun of him.
Certainly. They did Jesus too.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead.
We may be asking, how could God or someone still love me? But God asked in Hosea 11:8 and 9, oh, how can I give up on you? How can I let you go? How can I destroy you? My heart is torn within me, and my compassion overflows. For I am God and not a mere mortal. I am the Holy One living among you, and I will not come to destroy.
What does this mean to you?
To me, no matter what I do, God is going to be there with open arms, loving, regardless, because He done knows I've already done it. And the problem is, I've got to be the one to realize that that love's there.
Good, good. How many times have I said, just don't sabotage yourself,
Yeah.
right? Don't turn from Him, turn towards Him. Isn't that what that's kind of saying there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Yeah, Rob.
I think it's just the words that is used in the scripture. God is saying, how can I give you up? How could I turn away from you? How could I destroy you? And it's just such a powerful message
Right.
of God's love. Because no matter what we do, He's there. He is there for us. He wants us. He loves us.
And He's there to rescue us. Now, yes, we may and we probably will suffer some consequences, but He wants to be with us in those consequences if we'll allow Him.
Yeah.
Isn't that true? You got anything to say about that, Christy? Okay, just checking. So, anybody else? David, comment? All right. Lisa, you got anything you want to say? Okay, all right. I'm just running the board here. I didn't ask you, did you have anything you want to say?
No, I'll catch up later.
Okay, well, you're going to be up here in a minute, so.
I'm aware.
Okay, go ahead, Willie.
There is absolutely nothing we can do or confess to God that would cause Him to stop loving us. And now I'm going to Romans 8:38 and 39. Romans 8:38 and 39 says, and I am
Convinced?
I am convinced that nothing can ever separate us from God's love. Neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither our fears for today, nor our worries about tomorrow.
Yes.
Not even the power of hell can separate us from God's love.
That's a pretty big statement, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
No power.
Wait a minute. Do you believe that statement?
Yes.
Okay. You believe that statement? You believe that statement? Okay, just checking. Go ahead. 39.
No power in the sky above or in the earth below. Indeed, nothing in all creation will ever be able to separate us from the love of God that is revealed in Jesus Christ our Lord.
Yes. So, what did you learn out of this lesson today?
Well, I learned that God's love ain't never gonna change. It hasn't changed in over 2,000 years, 3,000, something like that, whatever it is. It ain't changed. It's the same as it is today.
It's closer to 6, as far as we know.
I'm no good with numbers, you know that. But from day one,
Jesus died in 2,000 years ago.
okay, it's the same as it was from day one, as today, as till the end of time.
Yeah.
His love's going to be the same, and once we grasp that, then we could be. It will set us up for set us up for more opportunities to be on the right path and make it just a little bit easier. Not that it's going to be all downhill, but we'll be able to surpass it more easily.
All right. Sounds good. Well, so what's your takeaway?
And I hope I'm doing right and I stay on the path that I'm going, because I have, this week alone, I've heard 2-3 different people say the same thing about you can't have a testimony without a test. And that just keeps popping in everywhere I turn. People are saying that. And for the past November, I feel I've been tested all the way up. And I hope I'm doing better, but I'm still on the uphill side of it. So my takeaway, never give up.
All right. Good. Thank you, Willie. Appreciate it, Willie.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is the real expert, right, Willie?
No.
She studied it.
No.
I mean, I'm not saying nothing. I
That,
gotta go home.
the book of the Bible, yes, and but that's been a little bit ago.
A little bit ago.
A little bit ago.
Okay. Well,
About a decade ago.
these are all easy questions.
They are. How do I respond to the truth that God does not give up on me? Got 2 answers.
All right.
The unhealthy Lori answer is, how do I respond to the truth that God does not give up on me? Unhealthy Lori, irritated. True.
I believe you.
Yeah, irritated. Shameful, desperate to be left alone, and frustrated.
Anybody identify with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. The healthy Lori, excited, full of joy, and thankful
All right.
about that. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And the drastic difference in the two says a lot. Yes?
It does.
And the fact that I'm able to separate the difference between the unhealthy Lori and the healthy
That's
Lori.
even better.
Yes. So that's what I'm going with on these is the difference between unhealthy Lori and healthy Lori. Okay. What keeps me from being truthful with God? Which one you want first? Healthy Lori or unhealthy Lori?
Whatever you want to do. You're the boss here.
Unhealthy Lori.
Okay.
What kept unhealthy Lori from being truthful with God? Pride. Yeah. No one else had that, just Lori. Selfishness. Yeah. Fear. shame, facing reality and truth, and all of the consequences that came with it. That was pretty unhealthy in lots of ways. Healthy Lori.
So let's
Yes.
refresh on the question here. Read the question again.
Read the question. What keeps the healthy Lori from being truthful with God?
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Hopefully nothing. My goal and desire is to be truly transparent with God. Because I am fully transparent with God. He sees everything, but the point is for me to be transparent with Him. And that's my goal and my desire. But I'm not always. That's my goal and my desire, because sometimes little pieces of the unhealthy Lori still pop up.
Yeah, he likes to reach back up at
Yeah.
most inappropriate times, right?
Yes, but I mean,
But,
unhealthy
but
Lori.
it's better than it used to be.
Much better, much better. We're still,
We're not working for perfection, we're looking
Right.
for progress.
right, healthy is always a goal, and we're always working on there. We have unhealthy days and unhealthy moments. I was pretty unhealthy this week. Well, I spent a lot of time mowing the grass this week. It was true. Yeah. What makes me think that I can hide anything from God? Gotta rephrase this again. What makes unhealthy Lori think that she can hide anything from God? Unhealthy Lori. I can't see what that goes on. Unhealthy Lori used to think Scarlett O'Hara was awesome. You know Scarlett O'Hara?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know her personally. But
Yeah, but you know, I'll think about it tomorrow. Yeah,
stick our head in the sand,
yeah, I'll think about it
deny
tomorrow.
reality,
Yeah,
pretend.
yeah. Think about it tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Never comes until it comes, and it's a mess. A big mess.
You avoid something long enough and it will eventually blow up and demand your attention. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
When you really don't
Yeah.
want it to.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you never want it to
And
show.
then it demands a whole lot
A
of
whole lot of attention.
attention, and
And-
it gets, yeah.
And sad part of that story, we don't get any better because we try to pick up all the pieces and start from where we left off.
Yes, yeah.
Would you
and-
agree with that statement?
Mhm.
You want to say something, Robert?
I was just gonna say that for me, it's, I don't know where this came from, but my viewpoint is if I don't say it, maybe it's not real. And especially in prayer, when I talk to God, if I don't say it, maybe He won't know.
Yeah,
You know, and-
I have that down.
But, I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's much, much better than it used to be. But
Yeah.
it's a good test for me when I pray now that I kind of examine the prayer afterwards and say, did you tell God everything you needed to? And if I didn't, then I need to pray again and say those things, you know?
Boy, that's a step 5 there, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
Isn't that lines up with step 5? Confessing to God, yourself, and another human being the exact nature of our wrong, or really what's going on.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about big things usually right now. To me, step 5, when I really did it, that was big.
Yeah, but if
But now
but
it's.
if we're living these steps,
Right,
And that's what you're talking about.
yeah,
It's a little, according to the scriptures, the Old Testament, it's the little foxes that spoil the vine.
yeah.
You know, they go to nipping at you, and they just, it's kind of like, you know, you can survive one or two leeches, but if you had a bunch of leeches on you for a long time, right?
Yeah, have trouble.
Okay, go ahead. We're in unhealthy Lori,
Yes,
and we're going to go to the healthy one.
the healthy one. I was kind of being funny. Okay, the healthy. What makes healthy Lori think that I can hide anything from God? I don't understand that concept.
Because that goes right back to what Robert said, right?
Yeah. Healthy Lori doesn't understand the concept of hiding anything
Yeah.
from God.
And healthy Lori knows that that's not going to work out for you if
Right.
you did.
Right, but back to my notes here. Unhealthy Lori, my note said, I knew I was living in sin, but in my mind it said God knew what I was going to do because God knows everything. So God already knew I was living in sin. So my twisted rationality was, why do I need to tell God that I was sinning? He knows I was sinning. He knew I was going to sin, so why do I need to tell him that I was sinning?
And that's
Because I was sick.
Yeah.
And I didn't care because I'll deal with it tomorrow.
So answer that question. Why?
Why?
Why should we confess our sins?
To get rid of it.
Get rid of it. And
To clear ourselves.
1 John 1:9 said, if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to
Yes,
forgive us.
us our sins and
And to-
purify us from all unrighteousness.
There you go. Good deal.
Yes.
So, what'd you learn from this lesson tonight?
I learned from my lesson. God's love is good. Isn't it good?
Yeah.
It's always there. Always going to be there. All we got to do is accept it. Quit running from it. Just accept it. God, it's like a jacket. It's there. It doesn't do any good unless you take it and put it on.
That's good. Good illustration. Good. So, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway. You gotta love yourself too. You know, the lady, Gomer, she couldn't have loved herself. She was not loving herself. And I wasn't loving, I look back, I didn't love myself for years. I didn't. No one else was loving me. No one else was showing me love. I wasn't loving myself. I couldn't feel God loving me. I knew He loved me because that's what I always knew. But I wasn't feeling it because I wasn't loving me. No one else was showing me love. I didn't put on my coat of love. I would do my own thing. You got to let God love you, and you got to love yourself.
Since you studied this sometime in the past,
Mhm.
so let's ask this question. So, God told Hosea to marry a prostitute, which he did, and they had a family, and then she relapsed and went back, and then God told him to go purchase her back, and then basically that was an illustration. So I wonder if she got the significance out of that of that symbolism that was going to Israel, if that affected her. What do you think?
Eventually she did. Eventually she did receive the love that both Hosea was wanting to give her and that God was wanting to give her. But it took from if I'm remembering right. It took time. And it took effort on Hosea's part, working with her to prove that to her and convince her of that. It wasn't just an automatic one and done. It wasn't like a kindergarten teacher saying, look, this is an A, that's what it is. And okay, accepting it as easy as that. It wasn't a 1 and 1 is 2. It was constant work. And
you use that illustration as that's easy, but
yeah.
but it wasn't all that easy to
No,
to
it
a
was.
preschooler.
Like, and what I said over there is that her most likely being an orphan, and that's what the study I took was taught. She was not shown any love as a child from the study that I took part of. She was not shown any love. She was an orphan. She was most likely abused sexually and physically since young childhood, most likely. So that's all she knew. That was her comfort zone. Most likely that was her love language.
As sick as it was, that's her comfort.
As it was, that was her comfort. That was her love language. As sick as it was, that was her love language. So the fact that she was loved made her uncomfortable.
Right. I had a professor in one of my classes tell a story, and I'll try to condense the story. He said that one of the other faculty had married a woman that had been abused and mistreated, and he said that this husband treated her like a princess, and she couldn't stand it. I mean, she liked it in the beginning, but the further we went, the more irritating it got. And she went back to people that would treat her the way that she'd been treated.
Yes.
And he was using that as an illustration. This was either a psychology class or a sociology class. I don't remember which, but one of them. I remember the story. I don't remember what class I was in, but you know, and we are Gomer.
Well, I mean, I shared part of my story last time. Having been there, done that. Yes, it is hard. Having had it yelled and preached and beaten to you physically that you are nothing, that you are trash, that you don't belong anywhere, that you are only good to be beat. It's hard to accept love after that. You hear, like you said, on a repeat tape, playing over and over again. It's hard to break out of that. That is my addiction.
And some of that from that issue of early childhood. You know, if you had abandonment when a childhood, you didn't have. They call it attachment syndrome.
Yes. So you leave before you were left.
Well, you don't have any. Your brain wasn't wired with the ability to attach or to bond because you hadn't bonded.
Yes.
And it's hard. And so what Gomer had to do here was she actually had to rewire her brain in a neuroscience sense, in my opinion. And that's what we have to do, right? Right? That's what we have to do. We have to rewire our brain.
And I'm sure for many suffering deeply in addiction, they probably self-told themselves.
Sure.
I have before, all the ugly. I am worthless. I am not worthy. I am unloved. No one's worthy of loving me. I am not worthy of being loved. We have programmed ourselves. Plus what other people have told us.
Right.
And better off being alone. They are better off without me. I am better off without them. I better leave before self-preservation.
We for for not salvation, but for survival, we harden ourselves or armor up
Yes.
by telling ourselves that that we're unlovable. Nobody's going to accept us. They're going to reject us. So I might as well get prepared.
And that's the jacket we put on,
Yeah, and
not the jacket
and we
of God's love.
walk around with this explosive anger oftentimes.
Yes. And self-pity and self-loathing.
But it's a self-protection mechanism
Yes.
because of not actually not being loved and not being able to really receive or give love. Emotionally healthy individual is one that can give and receive love.
Yes.
So, anything else?
I hope not.
Anybody else? Yes, Tom.
I was thinking that more that I grow and learn in recovery, because like I didn't always understand God's love or what it even meant. But the more that I learn and grow in recovery, it opens me up to understand what and feel and accept
Right.
that
Awesome.
love.
That's what today's story is about, to help us to reshape our perspective
Yeah.
of God, ourselves, and others, right? It almost sounds a little bit like step 5 here. Yes?
That's what we're working on.
Okay. Comments from anybody else? I'm going to give Christy another shot at it. Anybody else? David?
No.
John? Lori?
No, I already said I hope not.
It's Lisa. I'm sorry, Lisa. Okay. Okay, thank you. Well, did I tell the truth about tonight's topic?
Yes.
Okay. Did you guys get it? What's your takeaway? What'd you learn out of it? Either one of those.
That was my takeaway.
Say what?
I said I did. I gave you my takeaway.
Okay, that was good, and I appreciate it. Anybody else? Going? Yes.
If we don't love ourselves, then nobody else can.
Which is true. Well, even if they do, we don't receive it. And I think that was a lot of Gomer's issue. Would you agree with that? We don't let God, we don't let anybody else. So nothing can separate us from the love of God except for ourselves.
Thank God for that.
True.
All right, are we done for tonight? We know what we're doing next week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I already said, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I was on the air. What is it?
The plumb line.
Plumb line, okay. And that's still step 5. And I think it's Hosea. Is that,
It's,
Amos? Yeah, Amos. I saw the A, but I couldn't pull it. I don't know. So anyway, all right. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may His face shine upon you and give you His peace. And He is giving us His peace. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And hey, it's in our best interest to make healthy choices.
Amen.
Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next week.